What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be making a tier list ranking the items we have in Chapter 7 Season 2 and letting you guys know which ones I think are best and worst. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below what your favorite and least favorite items are this season. If you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything, it is EvolveJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So we're going to start off with probably the most obvious choice this season. That is going to be the Chaos Reloader shotgun. This is going to be S tier. This shotgun is absolutely incredible and very difficult to play against this season. It only has one shot and then you have to reload it. But since it does reload on its own, while not equipped, you can play it just like how you would play a pump, and it works just fine. You can shoot the shotgun, swap to some sort of spray weapon, and then swap back to it after a period of time, and that should be the end of the fight. So it has one shell at the time, but it doesn't always play like it only has one shell because of the natural playstyle you have with pump shotguns anyways. If you guys have been accustomed to using pumps in zero build, you could use this exactly the same and it's going to be no problem. There is a bit of a bug with like it not reloading on its own sometimes, but allegedly dropping it for 10 seconds and then picking it back up again will fix it for that Chaos shotgun for the remainder of the game. I know that sounds ridiculous, but since doing that, I haven't really had problems with it reloading on its own. So if I, am going to use that Chaos shotgun for the game, I drop it for 10 seconds, then pick it back up. If I'm going to upgrade to a different one, like let's say I have a blue and then I eliminate someone that has a gold, once I get that gold, I'm going to do the same thing again. I don't know if you necessarily need to be that extra about it, but 10 seconds is not a long time in a Fortnite, and avoiding that bug is very crucial. So, yeah, the Chaos Reloader shotgun, I think, is one of the more busted shotguns we've ever had. The Combat AR, I don't really know how to rank. I'm just going to put it B tier. If you have it A or S, like, I get that. It's just a weapon that I've never really liked for some reason. Like almost every iteration of the Combat AR, I feel like I've had a lower opinion on than the rest of the community. The only time I really liked this weapon was in like Chapter 2, Chapter 3. And at the time it had a lot of recoil, but it made up for it in terms of like damage and fire rate. As it is now, it doesn't really have that much recoil. It still has really good fire rate. It still has solid damage. But like I've said, it's just never felt that great to me since it got reworked. And with how this season plays, I just don't end up using these ARs. So that's why I'm going to have the Combat AR at B tier. It's certainly not terrible, but it's not a weapon I enjoy using, and it's not something I want to use because there's other spray weapons in the season that I think are just a lot better. And one of those is going to be the Thunderburst SMG, which is also going to be an S tier. This thing is absolutely incredible, and if you have been playing this season, I feel like you're not surprised with either of these S tier picks so far. So fire rate, damage, accuracy, it's all incredible, and it has the laser sight attachment. So while it is a third-person weapon, it has no bloom at all. It's going to be perfectly accurate even at range. So if your aim is good and consistent, you're going to fry with this weapon. The hip fire on it is also incredible because of that laser sight, and that fits perfectly with how much movement is in this season, which brings us to the next item, the 7 power gloves. Again, going to be an S tier item, and this probably isn't a surprise to you. So this is similar to the Nitro Fists. I've seen a lot of players kind of confused about it. They say they go the wrong direction. A lot of these mobility items we've had, they send you in the direction you're looking, or opposite you're looking. Like if it's the base boost gloves from Super, you had to look opposite of where you wanted to go. These send you in the direction you're going. So if you want to go forward, you have to be pressing forward on your analog stick, or the W key if you're mouse and keyboard. If you want to go backwards, you can press backwards. You could be looking forward and move backwards if your movement button is pressed backwards. So it goes off your movement. I think as far as being a movement item, it's incredibly good. Even with only 20 uses per set of gloves, it's something that is going to be very helpful and very good fighting mobility while also being a solid traveling mobility item. And the kind of plays you can make by like uppercutting yourself into the air or dashing into the air with it and then shooting down with something like the Thunderburst SMG or the Chaos Reloader shotgun makes you a problem. And then the melee aspect of these gloves is also really overpowered. And that's something that has me concerned as the season goes on and more people get used to using the melee on these gloves. I think this season is going to get less fun to play. But it's helpful in certain situations. If you're indoors, you can kind of just spam uppercut people sometimes and they can't play the game. Anybody in bushes, you know, you can uppercut them out of the bush. Doing a ground pound attack when you're in the air, and then doing the regular attack while looking down and moving down on them, and then comboing that with an uppercut, sending the enemy flying, and then just switching to your shotgun or burst and melting them from the sky is very difficult to play against. So these gloves are S tier. I've been asked on a few videos if I was only to carry one mobility item, what would it be? I think it would be these gloves. It's a hard choice, and spoiler, I like using double mobility, which is why I don't like using the ARs as much. But yeah, these 7 power gloves are incredible. Next is the Flowberry Mist. We'll just put this A tier, I guess. It's fine. It's the same as it was last season. It heals you over time. It gives you the Flowberry effect. The Flowberry effect is really nice when comboed with the movement we have this season. And again, the Thunderburst's ability to hip fire while in air and be perfectly accurate feels really good with a Flowberry Mist shockwave or a Flowberry Mist like glove uppercut. So this is a solid item. It's not what I prefer to carry. It's something that's more situational for me to carry, or maybe just recycle. Like maybe if I kill somebody and they have these on their body, I'll, you know, use it real quick and then pick my weapon back up and go about my day. The Zipline gun, I'm going to have it C tier. I do not think this is good mobility at all. And it's one of those items where you know how you feel about an item when like you have to play against it. And when I'm playing against someone that shoots out a zipline and then tries to push me or get away from me or do anything using the zipline, I'm very happy about that because that's usually free beams. It's like best as like positional mobility in team game modes, I think. And since I mostly play solos, my opinion on this is going to be a bit lower. In squads, maybe having somebody carry this is useful, but I would still argue that just everyone having their own mobility and knowing how to use the items is good too. But yeah, like I said, I'm very happy when my enemies use this, and so I don't rank it very highly. The Iron Pump is interesting. Last season, I would have had this S tier. I'm debating between A and B, because the Chaos Reloader shotgun, I think, is so good that it kind of invalidates the other shotguns in the loot pool. The only time I really want to use the pump is if I get the mythic one at Riptides. Sometimes I'll maybe use it, like, let's say I find a gold pump and I've only had like a green chaos repeater at that point, then maybe I'd use the pump. But for the most part, I think the Chaos Reloader is the best shotgun this season, and it is very much worth getting used to using this and getting comfortable using this. So I love the Iron Pump. It's probably one of my favorite shotguns throughout Fortnite history. But it's maybe B tier this season. It's between A and B. And then we'll put the Twin Hammers in A as well. Again, I think with the Chaos Reloader in the game, it's hard to justify using these Twin Hammer shotguns if you're playing against good players. Like, if you're playing against people that don't really hit their shots, then yeah, the spamminess of the Twin Hammers is going to be really good for you. But somebody just hitting you 160 with this Chaos Reloader immediately and then swapping to the Thunderburst or the pistol, it's going to absolutely melt. So I could put both these shotguns in B. I could put both of them in A. I just think that how good the Chaos Reloader is right now and how good the spray weapons are in the loot pool to combo with it leave little room for any other shotgun to be that great. Especially with the play style the Twin Hammers wants to employ. Like, the Twin Hammers wants to just get up in somebody's face and spam their shots, right? But when you're doing that, you're creating also a perfect situation for the Chaos Reloader. Overdrive grenades will have it A tier. Probably at the start of the season, I would have had these B tier. But since then, Fortnite has made it to where they send you further. So it's more similar to a shockwave. And then also you can now carry 6 in a stack rather than just 4. So it's a decent mobility item. It's good in the exact ways that shockwaves were. If you get shots on somebody and want to push them, excellent. If you need to reposition quickly, excellent. The downside of this compared to shockwaves is that you don't break through walls or anything like that. But it's still a very good mobility item. And my choice most of the time this season is to be running something like this. Chaos Reloader, Thunderburst, gloves, and Overdrive grenades. Or maybe the pistol instead of the Thunderburst. But either way, I really like using double mobility. And that's why I don't have either of these ARs ranked really highly. Because I don't want to just use Chaos Reloader and AR. Because of how the Chaos Reloader plays, I really want to have a very good spray weapon with that. And then also having this double mobility, you don't need the ranged weapon as much. And with how the season plays, it's not like either of these ARs dominate at medium to long range, like how the Deadeye did last season. I feel like Sure, these ARs maybe start to take over compared to the Thunderburst or the pistol at like 60, 70 meters, you know, 6, 7. At like decent range, they do start to get better than those spray weapons. But the spray weapons are good enough this season to be good at like medium range plus, while we also have really good mobility in the game to allow you to get out of those long range situations. You don't need to participate in the long range fights because we have such good mobility. So with how this season plays, with how good the spray weapons are, how good and plentiful the mobility is, and how non-dominant these ARs are, I don't think they're that great this season or that necessary this season, and that's why I have both of them in B tier. They're just not as good of a spray, and they're not as dominant at long range, and with how the season plays, you don't need to dominate long range as much. So I feel like that just creates a situation where these ARs aren't very good. Or not, like, very dominant, you know? They're solid. They're not terrible. It's not like your game's over because you're using it, but it's just not what I prefer to use with how this season plays. And even if I did want to use 3 guns, the DMR is like the dominant long-range weapon, right? So these ARs, they do start to get better than the SMG and the pistol, but once they actually do start to get better than the SMG and the pistol, the DMR is just going to be better anyway. So I feel like they're in just a weird situation where they're not the greatest, really. And as I said, the pacing of the season just doesn't really call for it. I'm going to put all these exotics in an S tier. I think they're all really good. You get these at the rivalry station, spending your rivalry coins. The sniper does a lot of damage in a single shot, and it scans the area and marks people in the radius around it, which is really good in team game mode, so you just know, you know, where people are. Even if you shoot a shot near a player and don't hit them, you might now know that like their teammates are right next to them, and you might not want to push in that situation. Or if you have people playing a bush, same thing. With the way the bounty system works, you often kind of know relatively where somebody is, but not exactly. And this marking sniper works really great for that, in addition to just being a really good sniper. The Mammoth pistol has, you know, been a very dominant weapon ever since it was in Fortnite. And this one is like the Lawless one, where it deals explosive damage. So you can just shoot near somebody and get damage on them. This is really good for flushing people out of cover, flushing people out of bushes. To my understanding, it is hit scan up to 100 meters. And then past that, it maybe starts to, you know, you have to account for bullet drop or bullet travel time. And the explosiveness of this pistol, it makes it really weird to play against. Because if I'm playing against somebody that I know has the Mammoth pistol, I don't want to be peeking into them as much. It's a rough weapon to peek into, because if they eventually do hit you, that's like 90 damage on you, right? So you might be in a stalematy situation where you feel inclined to not peek. But also, if you're in that stalematy situation, they could just start chipping you out with explosive damage. So it is a weird weapon to play against, and it's a very good weapon. It also combos well with how this season plays. You know, if you're overdrive nading on somebody, swap to the pistol, hip fire them in air. Maybe you hit them. If you do, that's awesome. That's good damage. If you don't, you probably got the explosive damage anyways. And then you're landing on them with, you know, overdrive shotgun thunderburst or overdrive shotgun pistol once we get to that. So I think this Mammoth is incredible. And the shockwave rocket launcher, same thing. It is a very good mobility item. It is probably the best mobility item in the game right now. But I feel like you do make yourself somewhat of a target with this, and you only have 13 rockets. So rockets aren't in the regular loot pool at the time. So you get max rockets when you buy it, and then to get rockets after that, you would need to have looted a player who bought rockets. Don't know if there's supply NPCs this season. I haven't really looked into the NPCs too much. There are NPCs that can max out your ammo, so you could buy it that way. But in general, it's kind of limited. But it's still very good mobility. Combine that with the fizz as well, you're going to be going crazy far. It's also good for forcing people out of situations. If you have an enemy in a bunker, you shoot this, they're probably going to get knocked out. You have an enemy in a bush, shoot this, they're going to get knocked out. Enemy behind cover, shoot this, they're going to get knocked out. Especially in endgame, this can be an absolute problem. So these exotic weapons that you can purchase from the rivalry stations are all incredibly good and top tier. Slaproni pizza, I'm going to put S tier. This is a healing item. I think it gives you 30 or 35, and it heals incredibly quick. It's a very fast healing item. And there's currently a bug with it where you can start to eat the pizza and then swap away from it. There's like a bit of time where you can cancel it. And if you do that, you'll get unlimited slap for a period of time afterwards. And since you aren't actually consuming the pizza by doing that, you can do it repetitively. And just having pizza slices in your inventory essentially equates to unlimited stamina if you can kind of juggle that well. In addition to just being a really good, really fast healing item. If you do eat it normally, you get the unlimited slap as well. But if you're doing it just for the unlimited slap, trying to cancel it, is going to be best for you. That probably will get patched at some point, but with how things are at Epic Games right now, we don't really know how updates are going to be rolling out this season. So I doubt that's very high on the priority list, so that bug might stick around for a while. Next, we're going to go to the Vector DMR. I want to put this A tier. As I said, if you want a long-range weapon this season, it is the best choice. And since the spray weapons are very good at close range and very good at medium range, it is very easy to run something like this. If you want to run single mobility, run like Chaos Shotgun, Thunderburst, DMR, Gloves, and then your healing item, and that's going to be an excellent loadout. You're going to be very good up close. You're going to be very good at long range. You're going to be solid at medium range as well. And then you have your mobility. So the Vector DMR is going to be an item that a lot of people like. It is very good. But with how I want to play, I prefer to have double mobility over this. But there's obviously going to be games where, you know, maybe I run out of mobility and I end up using this instead. Or I eliminate a player and then I end up recycling their DMR and using it while I'm around kind of their loot pile. So it is a solid weapon. And it being so good is kind of what makes these ARs kind of mid. If you're in a fight that's like 100 meters away, that's a point where like the Nemesis AR would be better than the Thunderburst or the pistol, right? But also the DMR is just going to be so much better than the Nemesis at that fight that you almost don't want to be engaging in that fight with the Nemesis. And that's why these ARs, I feel like, are just very not high tier this season because of how the loot pool plays out. We're going to go S tier for the pistol. I think it's incredibly good. Between Thunderburst and pistol, I feel like I kind of alternate day to day. There's some days where I'm just beaming with the pistol and it feels incredible. And there's some days where I'm just beaming with the Thunderburst and it feels incredible. I think for most players, the Thunderburst is probably going to be better. Especially if you miss your Chaos Reloader shot. I feel like the Thunderburst having a larger mag capacity kind of helps deal with that situation better. But both of these spray weapons are good. And as I said, a lot of times I'm picking it just based on like day to day how I'm feeling or like rarity. If I get a gold pistol and a green burst, I'll probably take the pistol. But if I get a gold burst or a green pistol, I'll probably take the burst. They're both incredibly good. Both incredibly easy to use. Both really low bloom despite being third-person weapons. The Thunderburst is obviously way more accurate because it just has like zero spread, especially when hip firing in the air when using your mobility. I think that's one advantage the Thunderburst really has. But both of these weapons are incredible. For cover items, we'll just put them both B tier or A tier. They're both solid. There's not really too much to complain about here. The bubble, I feel like, is a bit worse this season. Just because if somebody's in a bubble, you could jump on them with the 7 gloves and uppercut them out. And then now they're in no man's land probably, and you have their bubble. So it's a bit easier to push bubble players using these gloves and not really have to engage in the kind of jiggling in and out of the bubble fight that normally happens. The power gloves kind of invalidate that playstyle so much if somebody wants to just smack you with them. So there's that. But they're still really solid, and situationally they're going to be really good, but it's just not what I prefer to carry. The 7 Rift Rifle, this is a Vector DMR that if you charge it up, it creates a rift, and then you can rift around. I guess we'll put it S tier. It's basically just like a Rift Rifle with extra utility. The way you get this is by hiring the Foundation and then getting 3 eliminations while he's hired to you. It's good. I think how we talked before about how the Zipline can be good in team game modes for kind of moving the entire team together. I feel like the Rift Rifle just does that to an even better degree. I would much rather somebody shoot out a rift and then we all get in and fly than we all use the Zipline one by one. So probably the best like team movement together. The 7 cluster cannon, I guess, is B tier. I haven't really used this very much. I didn't enjoy my time using it. It's not a playstyle I really like, just like spamming rockets on people. But it's definitely rough to play against sometimes. And I've had my moments where somebody just overdrive nades up and then shoots this down on me. And that's basically all my health gone. And that's a rough fight to play at that point. So it's useful. It's good. But it's not really something I enjoy using. And the same is going to be true with these Ice King gloves. I think a lot of people would maybe put this S tier. It's between S and A. The damage on it is like 50, and it does splash damage, so you can kind of hit people around corners and stuff with it. And then there's also a alternate attack that you use your aim down sight button for, where it throws down an ice ball that just kind of creates a damage over time area where enemies can't exist in. This is going to be really good at forcing people out from behind cover, forcing people out of porter bunkers, especially in the end game where people don't really have much area to go anyways. It's going to be really good, but you do leave yourself vulnerable while doing that. So if you have an enemy using these trying to deploy that ultimate on you, you want to just beam them while they're doing that and then probably hop on them after the fact because they're creating an area where you can't exist. They're vulnerable while doing that for a period of time. with how good a lot of these weapons are, the time to kill is incredibly fast this season. You can easily get like 100 plus damage on them in that time while they're in that animation, and then just push them with your mobility. And you're going to have to leave the spot you're in anyways because they're throwing that area of effect on you. But again, you're just very vulnerable. So that is my tier list for this season. I don't really like ranking a lot of these situational things. So like there's anomalies in the game right now where you can get a lot of past items from Fortnite, like the Typhoon Blade, the Grapple Blade, the Gatekeeper Shotgun, the Mythic Mammoth. Pretty much all those items would be an S tier. They're all really good and really busted, so you probably want to go for that. And then heals, same thing. Like, do we need to rank Big Pots, Chug Jug, Chug Splash? They're all really solid, and most heals are just going to come down to what you can get. I feel like the best heals in the game right now are the Slaproni Pizza, the Chug Jug, and then maybe like the Slurp Fish. But it really comes down to what you can get. Like, I prefer to carry pizza most of the time, but if somebody prefers a Chug Jug, I don't think that's wrong by any means. And if I have one pizza slice and I find a fresh chug, I'm going to take that chug. If I have one pizza slice and I find 3 bigs, I'm going to take the bigs. Med kits and bandages I pretty much never carry, especially with how many mending machines are around the map. So I don't really like carrying the base heals because a lot of it is just kind of what you get. And then there's also fish in the game like the Vendetta Flopper, which will mark enemies. It's okay, but I feel like the radius of area that you get to mark enemies isn't really actually that helpful. Like, it's not very large. Maybe in endgame it could be helpful, but I don't really want to dedicate an inventory slot to that. And then like the Midas Flopper, I'm sure people will bring up. It makes all your items gold, and so sure, that's like S tier if you happen to get it, but it's not really something I'm going to go out of my way to get most of the time. So that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.